what is it under the law?
First, there's been a lot of liberty taken with the Founding Fathers and the Bible. Thomas Jefferson wrote a completely different Bible of his own, taking all the miracles out. So don't impose your view of natural law on the Founding Fathers. Mr. Miro, does your friend who thinks that people should have the right not to associate in employment and in hiring with his lesbian daughter and doesn't think the law should interfere with that, should they also not be able to associate in employment and housing with, say, colored people? Because that's a religious thing. I think I've heard that there are actually religious texts in some religions that say that people are colored because that they have some religious marking, the mark of something. So, what's the difference?
And this goes to a recurring theme here tonight that I tried to point out earlier, is our position. This is the difference between our two worlds here. There is this thing that you call sexual orientation. When I asked what is that under the law, you see, I just get shut down. It's because they have no answer to it under the law, because it can only be measured in human behavior. That's what the law measures. It doesn't measure you standing there thinking, I'm gay or I'm straight. It doesn't measure that at all. And anyway, that is one of the deep differences. So the questions that are all based where you're equating race with sexual behavior, you're not going to get any kind of common ground understanding because the assumptions are wholly different.
I also wanted to point out, if I might, that when it was brought up, and I don't want anyone to go away misled on constitutional law, you can't just in the abstract start making whatever comparisons you want between religion, between race, between ethnic, between the civil rights movement, the this, the that. Under constitutional law, this is what a true fundamental civil right is. You can't just take those phrases and separate them from their context and just begin using them in the abstract. That's a standardless society where anything goes until everything's lost. But here's what the law currently is, and has been for 200 years. If you want to go in and establish and argue that you have a fundamental civil right, it either has to be expressly identified in the Constitution itself, including the Bill of Rights, and that's why you have race, religion, and ethnic origin, or you have to show that it is so deeply rooted in our traditions and our culture from the very beginning that it is the equivalent thereof as well. And the courts have said repeatedly, the vast overwhelming majority of decisions other than California and Massachusetts have said there's simply no such tradition, no such historical precedent to support the measures brought forth as expansion of what they call gay rights. However, you can, on a case-by-case basis, step back and say, what is it that pertains to all human beings generally, without singling out a new group of victims and saying this needs to be a constitutionally protected class, and creating all the constitutional law upheaval that would bring about. And so again, this isn't just a panel of people advocating for some viewpoint. 200 years of precedent. Go to the law library over here, and you can see chapter and verse again and again and again. But we can, on a case-by-case basis, discuss how we can treat one another, but you can't rewrite law at every turn.